Hi Anna, thanks for the video. It's still a little dark, and I do realize that when I said that in the last video I made for you, you didn't have that feedback and you had already made this video. So I'm kind of repeating myself, but see if you can get a little more light. I'm sitting in a room right now that's pretty bright, but I'm actually setting against the way I normally would set in order to get the light on me. And it just makes a better video. And I know you're thinking, who cares? This is about my speaking ability. But there may be times when you are creating videos to send to your faculty, and it does matter. You know, it is something that I kind of want you to focus on. So see if you can tweak that a little bit, get some light on you. Let's see. I thought you did one of the most thorough jobs talking about mentoring. And you went through the entire process. You were very articulate, very thorough, very concise. I mean, you literally captured this. And you talked about the beginning teachers. I'm reading my notes here. They're site coordinators for each district, and that they have monthly logs. Do you assess the success of the program? I think this is one of the questions I had, because I didn't hear you talk about there's an assessment tool and we use that feedback to improve the program. And I know that sometimes we don't do that. I mean, as a former superintendent, you can't assess everything. I mean, there's so much data already. So I was just curious if you do some kind of assessment, and just fill me in on that later or send me an email. You talked about the video and the feedback. I thought that was great. You talked about the idea that you kind of felt that you were doing self-mentoring because of the self-assessments. And the only thing I would say, and this is just me being picky, is that self-mentoring is a very prescriptive, just like cognitive coaching is 3 cycles. Self-mentoring is a very prescriptive process. It involves 4 levels. So just doing a self-assessment, you aren't really self-mentoring. You're just doing a self-assessment. So I just want to make sure that we're kind of tuned into that I'm not trying to force you to say that you use self-mentoring. That wasn't the purpose. It really was just an opportunity to make you aware of it as a resource. I thought that I wrote down that you had really good time. Your time was spot on. And you used a really good choice of words as far as to explain things. You talked about what I would consider coaching. You talked about it as part of the mentoring process, but you were talking about, when you talk about probing questions, mentoring is this nurturing process, and think of coaching as the opposite. Not that it's not nurturing, but coaching is asking questions. That's what it is. So cognitive coaching falls under the umbrella of coaching, but it is not coaching in itself. Coaching in itself is knowing what questions to ask, how to ask, and to actually learning how to ask the right questions to walk someone through the growth process where they learn from what they're doing. So asking probing questions is definitely part of coaching. So I kind of thought that you were doing some coaching in there that might not be called coaching, and it was falling under mentoring. I do think that when you were talking about those probing questions, that kind of falls under self-mentoring. Part of self-mentoring is personalizing things and start asking yourself questions instead of somebody else asking you questions. So you can kind of see how all 3 fall together. But I thought you did excellent. I do love the videos. It's a lot of extra work. I know it is, and it's extra work on my part, but it's very meaningful. I feel like I'm getting to know you. Anyway, thanks for sharing and submitting it.